The US and the EU are beside themselves with fury over the coup in Niger. The EU has suspended economic and financial support, declaring that it won't under any circumstances recognize the coup regime. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell raged about a, quote, unacceptable attack on the integrity of Niger's republican institutions. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has called for the, quote, restoration of all state functions to the legitimate, democratically elected government. France's Emmanuel Macron called the coup, quote, completely illegitimate and threatened military intervention in the event of attacks on France and its interests. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has demanded immediate reinstatement of the Niger government, warning that it was ready to, quote, take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order, including the use of force. This bloviation about a coup stands in stark contrast to the purring that greeted the violent overthrow in 2014 of the legally elected government of Ukraine. If you recall, on February the 21st, President Viktor Yanukovych signed an agreement with the opposition envisaging elections to be held in December. France, Germany, and Poland acted as guarantors. Within hours, Yanukovych was forced to flee the country as violent mobs ransacked government buildings. On February the 22nd, without following any constitutional procedure, the coup leaders impeached Yanukovych. And how did the West respond? The Obama White House hailed the coup as a good constitutional change. On February the 24th, EU Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton was in Kiev to announce EU measures to, quote, stabilize the economic situation. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State William Burns also visited Kiev in order to, quote, consult with key Ukrainian leaders on U.S. support for a stable, democratic, inclusive, and prosperous future. The European Commission announced it was ready to conclude a trade deal. Let's imagine what might have happened had the U.S. and the EU acted toward the Kiev coup regime the way they are acting toward the Niger coup regime. Suppose French President François Hollande and German Chancellor Angela Merkel had announced that, as guarantors of the February the 21st agreement, they would under no circumstances accept the legitimacy of the coup regime. Suppose Nobel laureate Obama had threatened to withhold economic assistance until Yanukovych was restored to power. We know what would have happened. The coup would have collapsed, Yanukovych would have returned, Donetsk and Lugansk wouldn't have tried to break away from Kiev, and there would be no war today. Chalk that up to the rules-based international order.